Hi all, welcome back to Sunshine City Show. Max, your host. Today, voting in New Zealand and All Blacks. Go the All Blacks rugby team. So here we are wanting to discuss Trump. And Trump was in a debate, kind of. They weren't allowed to debate together because he knew that Biden would have had an earpiece in. And so Samantha Guthrie up to the challenge. She started asking him questions and she was insane. Literally insane. He had to calm her down. Calm down, girl. Calm down. And he had to calm her down all throughout the interview. She was just insane. Just kept asking questions, kept repeating, kept asking, kept repeating. Well, first off, she started off in the mask and the vaccine. So she was saying that he was infecting people with the mask because he wasn't wearing his mask all the time. And I don't really like a leader wearing a mask, but he said he did. He was wearing the mask. And why would she challenge him on it? And she said, well, you're not wearing the mask and when you're talking and that kind of thing and when you're around people. And it's like, well, how am I not going to be able to hug all these people? I've got to have to carry on. I've got to do my job, because he got sick. And she wanted to know details about that. Was that real or not? It was real. And who caused it? And did you make people sick? Who did you make people sick? Why weren't you wearing masks all the time? Were you tested and all that kind of thing? He said, well, I am tested. But he can't remember the day, that kind of thing. So she was insane, just absolutely insane about and it was going on and on and on. She kept questioning it again, the mask, and you've got to be responsible as a president. And it's like, wow, this is crazy. And you know my feelings on the virus. You know that I believe that this is a pandemic. 0.03% chance of dying. You're going to make up deaths to get your 5,000 funding off the federal government. New York was bad for that. You've got people dying of other causes, and they might have just put it down as COVID. And then if they did die of cancer and had COVID in the body, they said, it was COVID. And so COVID was the cause of everything. So 210,000, more like 40,000 at the most. And which is the normal figure of dying in America every year for flu. I think 40 to 60,000 die of flu every year. So it's very, very similar. So doing the lockdowns and everything for no reason. We got China, pandemic, had people falling over in the streets and they got us all scared. And then Italy was saying there were old people dying and they lied. Everybody lied. And it wasn't what they said it was. You have to remember China have ghost cities to set this whole lying fiasco up. Now then she went on to white supremacy. And she wanted him to call it out. And he said, you're not calling it out. And he said, hey, I'm calling it out. I'm calling it out, calling it out. And she was just insane. And I'm sure that she thought that the coloured Proud Boys were white supremacists. But they're coloured and of all colours. As you know. It's the coloured Proud Boys. They should just call them the coloured Proud Boys so people realise. And then you've got your white supremacist Antifa who caused rioting, and he was mentioning that, but she didn't care about that. He doesn't care about destroying America, doesn't just care about destroying middle income businesses. So you think that was insane. Then she went on to QAnon as the third subject, like QAnon. And then she said that they're attacking pedophilia, and she thought that it was insane. There's, not that many pedophilias around, pedophiles out there. They're everywhere. Then you got the Epstein Island thing, and she doesn't know that there was a big scam among the top elite people in America, and it's tied up into politics. And a lot of the people you've got Bill Clinton, because he's allowed to be mentioned, and you've got other people obviously in the White House that can't be mentioned. And you've got Hollywood that are involved in Epstein, because Epstein was well known. Ghislaine Maxwell, she was a well-known person. A lot of people knew them. Even Trump knew them. And you're saying that the pedophilia with this underage girl thing on this island didn't happen when there was underage girls on the island. And this is going to court, and it's been in court, and he was done as a pedophile, Epstein. He was done as one, but while he was being done, he was out still doing it because they had an out-of-court system. This was many years ago, but an out-of-court system where he could still meet girls and then come back to prison for 12 hours and come out and back and forwards. And he, because he was rich, he could do different things. So on the island, they had submarines, they had their own aircraft. They had their own aircraft and they had a book system. So they have a certain amount of people that have been to Epstein Island. And there's a temple on the island. So she said satanic pedophilia is not true. She said they're insane. But they had a temple that was a satanic temple. The same colour, it's a stripy blue colour, like an Alan DeGeary show. If you look at Alan DeGeary's pillars in the background of a show, it's the same colour. And, you know, on Epstein Island, you had We Are Change went on the island. And they had a look round and it was all concreted up. And so she was being insane about the QAnon, and she said, are you QAnon? Do you know who they are? And are you going to condemn them? You're not condemning them. And he says, well, I don't know who they are. What else could he say? He has to be in denial. When the media and everything else is not understanding the world and they have a limited view of the world, you have to lie. People need to be fed lies. Do you know that? If you're a leader, you have to feed the people lies because they're not ready for the truth. People aren't ready for the truth. And so he has no choice. He has to feed her lies. Literally. It's his career over if he doesn't. If he condemns QAnon, he condemns his own base. A good portion of it, probably 20 to 25% of his base are QAnon supporters. And so he can't condemn them because they haven't really done anything wrong. They're just attacking pedophilia and saying, well, hey, it could be Satanism, pedophilia as well. And they're attacking that. And they're looking into it and finding information about that. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with people truth searching. That is a healthy process to do some research, find out who is involved in this. And so you found out that there was a temple on Epstein Island, so you're wanting to know who went to the island. That's the logical solution. But media and social media platforms don't want that information to get out there because then they're saying, well, that's not fair. You can't link that celebrity with going to the temple. They were just seeing their friend Epstein, right? But you know how Epstein hangs around these young girls. It's like, well, if you're around that too long, then you kind of be part of it, really, aren't you? And you know, all the photos on the wall, and you got the Bill Clinton picture on the wall in a dressing gown or something, lady's dressing gown or something strange, a painting. So it's quite hilarious what goes on there. Then she talked, last thing was mail fraud. And she's saying it wasn't true, but it is true. Project Veritas came out. But there is a problem because no one wants to admit that there is mail fraud out there. And Omar Advisor, and they're all Somalian, are getting the Somalians community getting their mail ballots, but they're also going to the old pension homes and they're going there to get mail ballots. They're paying people $100, $200 for their mail ballots. They want empty ones and they'll give them $200. And they didn't show that on the media. They weren't going to show that, so nobody knows it. And then Joe Rogan came out and came against Project Veritas. Veritas came out against Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan didn't really come out against... He just went along with what his friend was saying and knocking Project Veritas. And he went along with it a little bit. And the guy at Veritas, James, said, look, Joe, we've taken people to court. No, and we've taken hundreds of... I don't know if it's hundreds, maybe... 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 people. He's got on his wall all the people he's taken to court. And he's won all his court cases. There are many people that he's taken to court. Many, many people who have said, because he's against globalism, he's exposing them. He's exposed CNN for lying and saying that they weren't doing the Russiagate thing. He's exposed them on that. He's done a lot of good in the world. He exposed Facebook because they were doing fact checking and just getting rid of Trump voters, just physically getting rid of them. They had fact checkers out of control. And now we've got fact checkers in social media platforms and YouTube and everywhere else doing the same thing, because it's ramped up right now. I'm losing subs. I don't know why I'm losing subs. Every day my subs go up. Every day they go down. I don't know if it's because I'm getting close to 1,000 subs, but it could be that YouTube are doing a purge near Trump elections and they don't want the information to get out about Biden right now. Because Biden has been linked with his son Hunter, and I don't really want to say too much about that. But this Trump thing, I wanted to expose it. The interview was entrapment. She wanted him to go and say, she wanted him to call out white supremacy. But not just that, she wanted him to call out Proud Boys, probably because that's what Bill Wallace was doing. But Proud Boys, as he was saying, weren't involved. And they're coloured boys. They should say coloured boys when they do it. They don't. She wanted him to admit he was wrong on the masks. And he said, well, hey, I haven't done anything wrong here. I was the first in the country to do it. If he admitted any of these things, that's his career over. That we're all leading Christians to destroy him. And I'm sure that Joe, I haven't seen Joe's interview, but I'm sure that Joe Biden had it very easy. I'm sure he wasn't asked one question about his son. Because the media don't do their job anymore. The media are anti-Trump. The world is anti-Trump. The world is anti-Trump because we're in globalism right now. Media are all globalists. A lot of people were saying today that they're from Germany, watching Sky News Australia, and they're from all over the country trying to get real news right now because the media are not doing their job. And for some reason, they don't really care. Because globalism is big money. They will be pumped up with global money. Because there's so much money. All the banks and everything else are all global now. All the corporations are global. So if you're not global, if you're against the globalists, then you're going to be very poor. And so a lot of countries have no choice. New Zealand probably has no choice but to be globalist. Because we're scared in this little isolated place that if the world turns its back on us, then we can't sell our farming goods anymore. Anyway, thank you all for subscribing to my channel. I hope that clears up a few things. Thanks all.